Okay, after rendering with array, it's time to export the textures and go for the marmoset. But before this stage, let's continue our discussion about post effect in Substance Painter. When you active post effect inside display setting for rendering a stage, you need to know about this fact. The post effect, it's not just only for rendering the array. It could be active for display itself, but it's going to give expensive processes on your GPU. So be aware of that. But for example, you want to have depth of field on the viewport, as you can see, or any kind of setting that you have in post effect. But we are focusing on depth of field right now. And it's not a good way when you want to change the focus distance with this slider. So you need to have some shortcut for that. And the shortcut is Control middle mouse button. And you can have the DOF in the viewport, and you can see what's happening exactly on your surface and focus on some area. So let's go back. I want to add some scratches on the surface. For this kind of effect, we can create a fill layer, and let's call it scratches. And I'm going to add a black mask for this layer, and let's add fill layer. And in the grayscale, I'm going to search about scratches. And we have so many map and grunge in the Substance Painter. We can use them as a base fill layer or grayscale to creating scratches. You will see in the project we are going to use many of them. But from this point of view, you can use these grunges inside Substance Painter, or you can search in the Google, find, for example, a nice and great scratches map and use that inside here. Okay, so let's add one of them. Yeah, for example, this grunge dusty scratch, I think it's good. Okay, let's go to the mask itself. Let's bring up the tiling. Okay, yeah, it's good, actually. Let's increase the contrast and increase the balance. And we can increase tiling amount inside the map itself. Okay, that's good. Let's add another fill layer with the scratch grunge, but the different one. For example, grunge scratch generator. Okay, let's bring up the tiling amount. Yeah, it's good. And when you add a fill layer and the blending mode is normal, they are not going to add to each other. They are going to override each other. And the priority is for the top layer, okay? So let's change the blending mode to something like linear dodge. And as you can see, we are going to add this grunge to the grunge that we have before. Okay, let's go add another fill layer, and I'm going to load a pearly noise. Okay, and I want to subtract the white area inside the pearly noise from the map or the maps that we have before the pearly noise. So in this way, I can give some variation and more realistic look to the scratches. So let's change the blending mode to something like subtract. Okay, let's invert it. Let's play with the scale. Okay, like this. Let's play with the balance. Okay. Now this is more natural compared to this one. Okay, that's it. We can play with the disorder like this, and I think it's okay. And we can use a filter like warp for example, to avoid the generic form of the grunge. And the warp filter can make variation inside the data that we have. Okay, so let's play with the intensity. As you can see, yeah. Okay, let's go back to the layer itself, and I'm going to keep color. I need height, I need roughness, and I need metallic. That's it. And let's go and disable the active post effect. Okay. And we can set a negative value for height, like this. Yeah, it's too much, actually. Let's bring down the height effect. And I don't want to have roughness value inside the scratches. That's it. And we can play with the color, make it darker or white. But when you scratch something on the surface, you can find a more brighter color from the inside. Okay, so the inside layer, usually they are more brighter than the surface itself. So yeah, I think it's enough. It's good. That's it. And let's add a paint layer. And let's call this paint layer sharpen. So I'm going to collect all the data in base color to single layer. And how can I do that? With changing blending mode to pass through. So basically, I'm going to collect all the data from this layer, below that the sharpen layer, and the data that we are going to collect and store in this layer is related to the channel, the base color channel, because we are just change the blending mode to the pass-through for the base color. And if we change all the blending mode in sharpen layer to pass through for all channel, we are going to collect all the data related to all the channel from below layers inside the sharpen layer. And it's not matter that we have fill layer or paint layer. We just need to change the blending mode from normal or anything else to pass to collect the data. Okay? So when we have all the data from base color channel to one layer, what we can do? So we can add a filter, for example, and use a filter to edit the data. I'm going to use sharpen filter for the base color. And as you can see, it's going to affect on all data from the layers below them. Okay, so the question is it going to affect on just color or any data channel that we turn on here? The answer is it's related to the blending mode. If we turn on or change the blending mode for height, roughness, metallic channel from normal or anything else to pass through, yeah, it's going to affect on them. But if we didn't do that, it's not affected. Okay, so let's decrease the sharpen intensity to something like 0.3, and yeah, it's okay, it's perfect. And let's export the texture from Substance Painter and render this model with the material that we create inside Substance Painter in Marmoset toolbar as a real-time engine. So for exporting texture, we need to go to File, Export Texture, and now we can choose a path or directory for exporting texture. We can choose a template for the texture that we want to export. We can select the type of the texture that we want to have. For example, we need a JPEG, we need PSD, TIF, Targa, or anything else that we should or we can do in the list. And we can select the bit depth of the texture, and we are going to use 8-bit plus dithering for most of the project, or 16 bits. And the PNG is okay for me. And the size, it's very important. This is the final resolution that we could export from Substance Painter. Okay, for example, we are working on the viewport with 2K resolution and everything is okay, and we need 2K resolution. So in here, we should just select 2K for output. But in the most of the project, we are going to export the textures in 4K resolution. And we are not touching the padding setting here. And after you choose template in here, for example, you are going to export texture from Substance Painter to CryEngine for Corona Render Engine in 3ds Max, for Blender, for Arnold, or for example, for Unreal Engine, you can do that. And after checking the template that you want, you can go to the texture set list and you can change the setting related to the template, file type, size, and padding option for each texture set separately. For example, you have 3, 4, 5 texture set in your project, and you want to, for example, the first one, you need 4K for the output, and the rest of them should be on 1K. Okay, so you can do that in here. For each texture set, you can change the setting. And actually, you can use the list here to control for each texture set which texture should be exported. For example, in the pot texture set, I don't want to export the base color. So I can go here and uncheck base color. And that's it. But we need all of them. And this is the setting that we have in Export Texture. We are going to use Marmoset toolbag, and it's better to use Unreal Engine format for Marmoset. And we are going to use that a lot. Okay, so let's set a path for this. Okay, and let's press on export. You can save setting before exporting, and after closing and opening file and the project, you have the setting on the export texture window. So let's export, and as you can see, we export all the texture that we want to the path that we set, and you can see which texture is exported. Okay, now we are in Marmoset toolbag, and we are going to learn how to use Marmoset toolbag as a render engine for our project. So using Marmoset toolbag, it's very easy, and we just need to load our model inside the software, and we can do that with File, Import, and just select any FBX file that we need. And now I'm going to load the FBX related to the pod, as you can see, and rotating, zooming, and panning inside Marmoset toolbar, it's very similar to Substance Painter. With holding Alt and left click on the mouse, you can orbit around the model. With holding Alt and right click, you can have slide zoom. You can have a step zoom with the scroll button on the mouse, and you can pan with Alt and holding middle mouse button. Okay, so this is how we navigate inside Marmoset toolbar, and we can just create a material in the material window, as you can see, with plus sign, and we can rename it, for example, substance pot material, and we can add this material to the model. We just click and drag and release it in the viewport, or we can just give the FX file material. Okay, let's load the texture inside Marmoset toolbar. For albedo, we need to load the base color texture. We can do it with two different methods. We can click on this icon and we can go to the path that we export the texture and select the texture that we want and press open, and boom, it's loaded on the model and material. Or we can open the folder inside Windows Explorer and just click, drag, and release the texture inside the input area. Okay, so with these two different methods, we can set up our material inside Marmoset toolbar. And the Marmoset toolbar normal format as a default is OpenGL. And when you export the texture from Substance Painter and the normal format is DirectX, you just need to click on Flip Y. Okay, and when you find out you need to press Flip Y, when everything is like inverted inside Marmoset viewport. Okay, so if you don't know what is the format you export from Substance Painter, you can just play with the Flip Y 2 or 3 times and compare the result together, and that one give you more correct feel. It's a correct format of the normal. Okay, so what about the roughness, metallic, and ambient occlusion? In Unreal Engine 4 template, we combine these 3 texture in one single image. Okay, if your image is grayscale, you have just only one channel inside your image, the grayscale value 0 to 1, black to white. Okay, but when you have a color picture or color texture, you have 4 different channel: R as a red value, G as a green value, B as a blue value, and A as alpha value. And you can see the color inside the texture, or even in your monitor, with combining the data in R, G, and B. Okay, so when we are exporting with Unreal Engine template, we are going to combine all the data inside different channel, and we just have a single image, a single texture, and we can use it in many input of our material. For example, inside the pot material, we have a texture here, and let's load this texture to the roughness, and let's open this texture in viewer. Okay, and when we turn off all the channel and just keep the red channel, as you can see, this is our ambient occlusion data. Okay, and when we go for the green channel, it's like the roughness data that we create inside Substance Painter. And when we go to the blue channel, yeah, it's just metallic data that we create. So when we turn on all these three channels, as you can see, we have a very colorful texture, and it's not going play the part of the material as itself. It's going to be split as per channel, and we are just using this texture inside all the input and change the channel from red to green for the roughness value, from red to B for the metallic value, and we can use ambient occlusion for red channel. Okay, so this is the result that we have, as you can see. Okay, and we want to render this part inside Marmoset toolbag. So we need to set the render setting. We need to create a camera. We need to create light and modify the light position and intensity to create a great result. Okay, so let's go for these steps in the next video.